The discovery. The emergency transmission crackled through the Galactic Council's communications array at exactly 14:32 Standard Galactic Time. The message was brief, panicked, and came from a system that should have been empty. This is Mining Station Zeta 7 in the Kepler 442 system. We're under attack by unknown vessels. They're human ships, but that's impossible. The system was surveyed as uninhabited. They're demanding we leave immediately. Please send. The transmission cut to static. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the command center aboard the diplomatic vessel Harmony's Edge, her dark eyes fixed on the star charts displayed before her. As humanity's representative to the Galactic Council, she had seen her share of interstellar incidents, but this one puzzled her. Kepler 442 was supposed to be an empty system, too far from established trade routes to warrant colonization. Captain, her communications officer called out, "We're receiving priority orders from Earth Command. We're to investigate the Kepler 442 situation immediately." Elena nodded, her mind already racing. Set course for Kepler 442. Maximum speed. The journey took 3 days through hyperspace. As the Harmony's Edge dropped back into normal space at the edge of the system, Elena's crew fell silent at what they saw through the main viewport. Where their star charts showed an empty system with a few barren planets, they found a thriving industrial complex. Massive orbital platforms surrounded the system's habitable world, connected by streams of cargo ships and construction vessels. Solar collectors the size of small moons harvested energy from the system's star. Most shocking of all, the technology was clearly human in origin. Captain, her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Torres, reported with barely concealed amazement, "I'm reading over 50 major installations. This isn't some small outpost. This is a full-scale civilization." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. How had humanity established such a massive presence without the Galactic Council's knowledge? More importantly, how had Earth Command not known about it? "Open a channel to the largest orbital platform," she ordered. The response came immediately. A middle-aged man with graying hair and intelligent eyes appeared on the main screen. He wore a simple work uniform, but his bearing suggested authority. "This is Director Marcus Chen of New Horizon Colony," the man said calmly. "Captain Vasquez, we've been expecting you." Elena's surprise must have shown on her face because Chen smiled slightly. "Oh yes, we know who you are. We know about your diplomatic missions, your attempts to secure humanity a better position in the Galactic Council. We've been watching, Captain. We've been watching for a very long time." Before Elena could respond, her sensors officer called out urgently, "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Whatever weapons they have, they're powering up." Chen's expression remained pleasant but firm. "A precaution, Captain. We've learned not to trust unexpected visitors." Elena forced herself to remain diplomatic despite the tension. "Director Chen, I need to understand what's happening here. According to all our records, this system was uninhabited. How did you establish this colony without the Council's knowledge?" Chen leaned back in his chair, his eyes growing distant. 60 years ago, Captain, a group of human explorers discovered this system during a deep space survey mission. They found something remarkable, a planet with perfect conditions for human life, rich mineral deposits, and most importantly, natural barriers that made it nearly invisible to long-range scans. The camera view expanded to show the colony's command center, revealing advanced technology that shouldn't have existed. Elena recognized some designs as human, but others were completely foreign. "We've had 6 decades to build, to grow, to innovate," Chen continued. "While humanity begged for scraps from the Galactic Council, we created something extraordinary. We are now home to over 12 million humans, Captain. 12 million people who have never known the shame of bowing to alien bureaucrats." Elena's mind reeled. 12 million humans. That was a significant percentage of humanity's total population. "Director, you must understand that this discovery changes everything. The Galactic Council will demand explanations. They'll want to inspect your facilities, integrate your colony into their regulatory systems. No. The single word cut through Elena's diplomatic speech like a blade. Chen stood up, his pleasant demeanor hardening into something far more dangerous. Captain, let me be very clear. We did not build this civilization to hand it over to the Galactic Council. We did not spend 60 years perfecting our technology to become another human settlement, begging for permission to exist. Behind Elena, her crew exchanged nervous glances. The weapons' signatures were growing stronger. We have sent a message to the Council. Chen continued, informing them that the Kepler 442 system is now under human sovereignty. They have 72 hours to acknowledge our claim or face the consequences. Elena stood up, her diplomatic training fighting against her growing alarm. Director, you're talking about war. The Galactic Council has thousands of ships, entire fleets, even with your advanced technology. You underestimate us, Captain. A new voice joined the conversation. A woman in military uniform stepped into view. Colonel Sarah Mitchell, according to the identification that appeared on Elena's screen. We've had 60 years to prepare for this moment. 60 years to study Council tactics, to develop countermeasures, to turn our entire civilization into something they've never faced before. Colonel Mitchell activated a holographic display showing the system's defensive capabilities. Elena's breath caught in her throat. The installations she had seen were just the visible part of a massive defensive network. Hidden weapon platforms, camouflaged battleships, and energy shields that could protect entire planets. This is madness, Elena whispered. This is freedom, Chen replied firmly. Captain, you have a choice. You can report back to the Council and tell them that humanity has finally stopped asking for permission. Or you can stay and witness what happens when they try to take what we've built. Elena looked around her bridge at her crew's faces. They were scared, confused, but she could also see something else, a spark of pride. For the first time in decades, humans weren't backing down from a confrontation with the galactic powers. Her communications officer suddenly spoke up. Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Zethkar wants to speak with you immediately. The screen split, showing both Director Chen and the imposing figure of Ambassador Zethkar, the Council's chief military advisor. The reptilian alien's scaled features were rigid with barely contained fury. Captain Vasquez, Zethkar hissed, you will order these illegal human colonists to surrender immediately. They have violated Council law by establishing an unauthorized settlement. They will be arrested and their installations dismantled. Chen laughed, a sound that held no humor. Ambassador, with respect, your laws apply to Council members. We never agreed to join your little club. Zethkar's eyes narrowed dangerously. All inhabited systems in this sector fall under Council jurisdiction. You will comply or face the consequences. The only consequence, Colonel Mitchell stepped forward, will be the destruction of any Council forces that enter our system with hostile intent. Elena watched the confrontation unfold with growing dread. This was escalating beyond diplomacy. You cannot possibly believe, Zethkar spoke slowly, as if addressing children, that one human colony can stand against the combined might of the Galactic Council. We have over 3,000 ships at our disposal. Chen's smile was cold. And we have something you don't, Ambassador. We have nothing left to lose. The transmission ended abruptly from the colony side. Elena found herself staring at Ambassador Zethkar's furious expression. Captain, the ambassador spoke with deadly calm. You will withdraw immediately. The Council is mobilizing a fleet to deal with this situation. I suggest your people choose sides very carefully. Elena's hands trembled slightly as she considered her response. Everything she had worked for, humanity's slowly improving relationship with the Council, the trade agreements, the diplomatic progress, it could all be destroyed by what happened next. But as she looked at her crew, she saw something she hadn't seen in years of diplomatic meetings. Hope. Real, genuine hope that humanity might finally have a chance to stand as equals instead of supplicants. "Ambassador," Alina said carefully, "I will report what I've observed here, but I should warn you, these colonists seem very serious about their independence." Zethkar's expression promised violence. "Then they will be seriously dead." The transmission ended, leaving Alina alone with her thoughts and the sight of the massive human colony outside her viewport. In the distance, she could see more ships arriving, not council vessels, but human ships from deep space, answering some call that she hadn't heard. Director Chen's voice came through the communication system one final time. "Captain, you're welcome to remain and observe, but I should tell you, in 71 hours, this system is going to become very dangerous. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when you cornered humanity with nothing left to lose." As Alina watched, the colony's defenses fully activated. Energy barriers shimmered into existence around every installation. Weapon platforms emerged from hidden positions. Ships that had appeared to be simple cargo vessels reconfigured themselves into warships. For 60 years, while humanity had struggled for acceptance in the galactic community, these colonists had been preparing for war. And now, Alina realized with a mixture of terror and anticipation, they were about to get it. The message would reach the Galactic Council within hours. The fleet would follow within days. And then the galaxy would discover that humanity had been hiding far more than just a single colony. They had been hiding a revolution. The siege and victory. 3 months later, the largest fleet in Galactic Council history dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. 2,000 ships of every class and configuration, representing the combined military might of 17 different species, formed a blockade that should have been absolutely overwhelming. Admiral Korthvin, Supreme Commander of the Council forces, stood on the bridge of his flagship Sovereign Justice and surveyed the human colony through his ship's sensors. The installations had grown even larger since Captain Vasquez's initial report. More concerning, they showed no signs of evacuation or surrender. Analysis complete. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "the humans have approximately 200 ships of various sizes, plus their orbital platforms. Our numerical advantage is 10 to 1. Korthvin nodded grimly. The humans had refused every ultimatum, ignored every demand for surrender. Now they would face the consequences. Open a channel to the colony. Director Marcus Chen appeared on the main screen, looking remarkably calm for someone facing certain destruction. Behind him, the colony's command center buzzed with quiet activity. "Admiral Korthvin," Chen said politely, "I was wondering when you'd arrive. Your fleet is quite impressive." "Director Chen," the Admiral replied formally, "this is your final opportunity to surrender. Evacuate your civilians and prepare your installations for Council inspection. You have 1 hour to comply." Chen smiled. "Admiral, I'm afraid we've made other plans." Across the system, something extraordinary began to happen. The human installations, which had appeared to be separate orbital platforms and industrial complexes, suddenly began moving. Massive structures unfolded like flowers, revealing themselves to be components of something much larger. Colonel Sarah Mitchell stepped into view beside Chen. "Admiral, meet the Kepler defense grid." 60 years of human engineering focused on one simple goal: keeping uninvited guests out of our home. The Admiral watched in growing alarm as the installations connected with energy bridges, forming a coherent defensive network that surrounded the entire inner system. His sensors began detecting power levels that shouldn't have been possible for such a small colony. "This changes nothing," Korthvin declared, though uncertainty crept into his voice. "You are still vastly outnumbered." "Numbers don't mean much when you're fighting in our backyard," Mitchell replied. Then her expression hardened. "But if you insist on testing our defenses, we're ready to accommodate you." The transmission ended. Korthvin turned to his fleet commanders. "Begin the attack. All ships, advance and engage." The Council fleet moved forward in perfect formation, a wall of metal and firepower that had conquered dozens of systems. But as they crossed into the system's outer perimeter, they encountered something none of them had expected. The space around them came alive. What had appeared to be empty void suddenly revealed itself to be filled with hidden weapons platforms, cloaked mines, and automated defense drones. The humans hadn't just built a colony, they had turned the entire system into a fortress. "Admiral," his tactical officer called out in alarm. "We're detecting massive power surges throughout the system. They're activating something big." The human installations began to glow with an intense blue light. Energy beams, more powerful than anything in the Council's arsenal, lanced out across space. The first wave of Council ships found their shields overwhelmed in seconds. But it wasn't just the firepower that shocked the Admiral, it was the coordination. Every human weapon platform, every ship, every defensive system worked together with perfect synchronization. It was as if the entire colony operated as a single vast organism. "How is this possible?" Korthven whispered. His answer came from an unexpected source. Captain Elena Vasquez, who had remained in the system to observe, contacted his flagship. "Admiral." Elena's voice carried a mixture of awe and pride. They'd been preparing for 60 years. Every single person in this colony was raised knowing that someday they might have to defend their home. This isn't just a military installation. It's an entire civilization built for war. The battle raged for hours. The Council fleet's superior numbers meant nothing against opponents who knew every asteroid, every gas pocket, every gravitational anomaly in their home system. Human ships appeared from behind moons, struck with devastating precision, and vanished into hidden bases carved into asteroids. Admiral Korthven watched his fleet's formation crumble as the humans exploited every tactical advantage their preparation had given them. Worse, his forces seemed to be fighting not just ships and platforms, but the system itself. "Sir," his communications officer reported with barely controlled panic, "we're receiving surrender demands from the humans. They're ordering us to withdraw immediately or face Phase 2 of their defense grid." Before the Admiral could respond, his sensors detected something that made his blood run cold. Deep beneath the surface of the system's planets, massive installations were powering up. The humans hadn't just fortified the space around their worlds, they had weaponized the planets themselves. Director Chen's face appeared on his screen again, no longer showing any pretense of politeness. "Admiral, you've seen Phase 1 of our defenses. Phase 2 involves turning entire moons into kinetic projectiles. I strongly suggest you reconsider your position." The Admiral stared at the readings his sensors were providing. The power signatures coming from the planets were off the charts. These humans hadn't just prepared for a siege, they had prepared to literally reshape their solar system if necessary. "This is impossible," Korthven said aloud. "No species develops this level of technology in isolation." Colonel Mitchell's voice cut through his confusion. "We had excellent teachers, Admiral. Every Council species that ever dismissed humanity as primitive gave us something to learn from. Every alien technology we were denied access to, we reverse-engineered from scraps. Every time you told us we weren't advanced enough, we got better." Around the system, the tide of battle was turning decisively against the Council forces. Human reinforcements were arriving, not from outside the system, but from hidden facilities throughout the Kepler 442 region. The Admiral realized with growing horror that this wasn't just one colony. The humans had been secretly expanding throughout multiple systems for decades. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "we've lost over 400 ships. Our formation is completely broken. The humans are systematically destroying our ability to coordinate." Korthven looked at the tactical display, showing his fleet scattered and burning throughout the system. The humans weren't just winning. They were demonstrating a level of strategic thinking that rivaled the Council's best military minds. But it was what happened next that truly shattered the Admiral's understanding of what he was facing. The human ships stopped firing. Director Chen's voice filled the communications channels of every surviving Council ship simultaneously. This is Director Marcus Chen of the New Horizon Colony to all Council forces. You have exactly 10 minutes to begin withdrawing from our system. Any ship that remains after that deadline will be destroyed. This is your only warning. The Admiral's pride warred with the reality of his situation. Nearly a quarter of his fleet was gone, and the humans had barely begun to use their full capabilities. Sir, his senior captain spoke quietly, we need to withdraw. This isn't a battle we can win. Admiral Corfin stared at the tactical display for a long moment, then slowly nodded. All ships begin withdrawal. Maintain defensive formations. As the Council fleet retreated, Elena Vasquez remained behind to witness something unprecedented in galactic history. The human colony had not only survived an assault by the galaxy's most powerful military force, they had decisively defeated it. Director Chen appeared on her screen one final time. Captain, please carry a message back to Earth and the Galactic Council. The Kepler 442 system is now under human sovereignty. Any attempt to interfere with our territory will be met with force. We are no longer asking for permission to exist. Elena nodded slowly. What happens now, Director? Chen's smile was confident and determined. Now we expand, Captain. This galaxy has spent too long thinking humans are weak. It's time to correct that misconception. As Elena's ship departed the system, she looked back at the colony one final time. In the space of a single day, humanity had gone from being the galaxy's junior partner to being its newest major power. The secret colony had revealed itself to be something far more significant, the foundation of a new human empire. The news reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. A human colony had defeated the largest Council fleet ever assembled. The species that had spent decades begging for respect had announced their independence with the most decisive military victory in recent history. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions were called. Trade routes were rerouted. Defense budgets were increased. The balance of power that had maintained peace for centuries had been shattered by a group of humans who had refused to accept their assigned place in the galactic hierarchy. And in the Kepler 442 system, Director Marcus Chen stood in his command center, watching as construction crews began building new installations. The secret was out. The hidden colony was hidden no longer. Humanity had finally taken its place among the stars, not as supplicants or junior partners, but as conquerors. The galaxy would never be the same again. The age of human expansion had begun.